Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to watch the video and spend some time with me today. I always appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about how to approach fishing on a cloudy day, because I think there's a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding what bass do on cloudy days. Because one of the things you got to understand about cloudy days is not all clouds are the same. You know, some clouds are thinner, thicker, denser, lower. And in correlation with different type of water clarities and water temperatures, there's a wide range of things bass do under cloudy days. So we're still going to sort of touch on that today in today's episode. I'm also, guys, I just wanted to update everybody. A quick question, because I've had a lot of people messaging me saying that my new Cumberland Lures Block It Throwback jig is out of stock at Tackle Warehouse. We launched it last Friday. They sold out the same day. But you can still go ahead and put your orders in there. Probably is going to be about a week or two before you can get them. But I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys want to go ahead and place your order, and then you can get them when they're restocked. But I appreciate everybody that has helped make the launch so successful, and really appreciate the opportunity to work with Cumberland Lures on this new jig that I'm really excited about. So thanks everybody for that. Okay guys, there's one of the things about bass fishing, it's like, you've heard me talk about on the channel before, there is literally an endless list of variables that determine, techniques and strategies, and the fish bite or if they don't bite. And it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming for even a long-term pro angler. So what I'm trying to do here on the channel, I'm trying to give you guys sort of a foundational approach that you can at least begin your search at, because you have to be able to start from some point and then you can sort of modify it. So let's talk about clouds and everything. Now, the first thing they have to consider when you're talking about clouds and how bass behave is the combination of the water temperature and water clarity in conjunction with the cloud cover that you have. And then also the type of cloud covers, like we were talking to, has a big influence on how much cloud cover affects bass. Because you can have like right now, it's like sort of like a real heavy, partly cloudy, guys. You could even consider it cloudy, but the light intensity is still pretty high. And sometimes you have those real heavy, thick clouds, like with rain, that makes the light levels really, really low. So here's some general things that will help you guys out in formulating your approach different times of season. First of all, the clearer the water and the darker the cloud cover, that usually adds up to some pretty good action. Because normally what you have is in clear water, the light levels are more affected than they are in more dirty water. So an ideal situation if you're fishing in clear water, say water visibility over 4 or 5 feet in clarity, is I like a pretty heavy overcast. Something even with like a light rain or like a moderate rain, that is really going to activate those fish most of the time. But you will find out that the thing that where clouds don't really make that big of a difference, if the water temperatures are cold. Say, for example, that water is 40, 45 degrees where you're fishing. If you have a cloudy day, it's not going to benefit you any. It doesn't really hurt you, because I've had good days on cloudy days and sunny days in the wintertime. But the clouds are not going to be as beneficial to you in the wintertime as they are in other periods of the year. For the most part, when you have a clear water situation and a heavy overcast, the prime times to catch bass that they're going to be the most active are when the water temperatures are in the 50s and 60s. Now, it doesn't matter if it's in the 50s and 60s in the springtime or if it's in the 50s or 60s in the fall time of the year. I have found clear water, heavy overcast really, really activates those fish if the water temperature is 50s or 60s. That's when you can catch them on your aggressive moving baits. Topwater, spinner baits, crank baits, chatter baits, big swim baits, big glide baits. Any type of power fishing lure that you can move horizontally through that water column is going to be a really good choice under those conditions. The fish are going to be really, really active. On the flip side of that, if you are fishing that situation with cooler water temperatures, it's best to slow down. Fish a jig, a Ned rig, something on the bottom, because those fish tend not to want to chase as much in the low lights conditions that you have there. Now, one of the things that I have found when you're looking to benefit or capitalize on a cloudy day is the key part of that is, just like I said, the spring and the fall time of the year. In the summertime, one of the things that I found out about an overcast day or a cloudy day is that the fish don't really react the same way to those power lures as they do in the waters in the 50s and 60s in the springtime. Say, for example, if you and I went fishing today, here it's in Missouri, the water temperatures are in the 80s, probably low 80s. And if it was a cloudy day, it's not like those fish are all this, even if we went in a clear water situation, it's not like those fish are going to get really active just because it's cloudy. Those fish, once that water temperature gets over about 75 degrees, they're not influenced as much by the cloud conditions. They're pretty much situated in the structures they decide to habitat during the summer months. You got some fish that are suspended, some fish that are deep, some fish that are shallow, and those fish don't pay that much attention to the clouds. Prime example is like, say for example, we go out and, fish a topwater all day, buzzbait. You're just as apt to catch as many in the middle of the day in a clear water situation as you will early in the morning if that water temperature is warm. That's one of the things I have found out about bass fishing over the years. Now, as the water clarity starts to go down, that's when the impact of clouds has a little bit different variable too. One thing they're going to find is that as the water gets dirtier and dirtier, there's going to be a gradual decline in how those fish react to those horizontal power moving baits as the water visibility decreases. So on one end of the spectrum, if you have real clear water and cloudy conditions and those water temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, the fish will be really active. But let's say if you're in that same scenario, let's say the water temperatures are in the 50s and 60s and you have 12 inches of visibility, you're not going to have the same benefit with that. The clouds are not going to be near as beneficial because the fish need to have some type of visibility. They don't have to. They can feed from their lateral line and from vibration, but as far as fish capitalizing on the visual aggressive strike when they can see a bait moving, you don't have that in cloudy conditions. If the water's dirty, they lose that ability a little bit. So therefore, if you have a cloudy day in more stained water, you need to fish lures that put off more vibration rather than those baits that are designed to attract strikes from a visual perspective. So if the water temperature is, let's say, 55 or 60 degrees and you have 12 inches of visibility, in that situation, like a big, large bladed spinnerbait or maybe a square bill crankbait would work the best, because those are lures that displace a lot of water. They put out quite a bit of vibration. They wouldn't work in a clear water environment that good, but in a dirty water environment when it's cloudy, those baits are going to work pretty good. Another thing with that is it's sort of the same way as that water temperature gets a little bit warmer in the summertime. If it's cloudy and the water's dirty, doesn't have much of an impact at all on it. It's more or less day to day as far as how those fish want to react to certain baits. One day they want a jig, one day they want a crankbait. It just varies with that. And everything in between, let's say, for example, you have average water clarities of say 2 to 3 feet, which a lot of lakes have. Under those conditions, as long as you have about 2 foot of visibility, it is also going to activate those fish. 2 to 3 foot of visibility is sort of the same as like that clear water, cloudy conditions. It's going to help you. You may not need the density of clouds. Let's say, for example, if I'm fishing where the water visibility is 7 or 8 foot clarity, I want that dark condition. I want the rain coming down. But if I'm fishing in a situation where the water visibility is say 2.5 foot, I may not want the rain. I may want clouds, but I don't want those dense clouds. I want just a typical a typical cloudy day that you have. Your light intensity is reduced, but then again, it's not low light. It's not low light like you would have rain associated with it. Just more of a wispy, cloudy type situation is going to be a lot more beneficial in a water visibility of around 2 to 3 feet. Now, your techniques are going to be the same. You can still catch them on the power baits and moving baits and that type of deal, but it's not going to be as critical to have those low light conditions. And one final thing, guys, I'll tell you about fishing on a cloudy day. And this is something I've seen for decades, is that the best time to fish on a cloudy day is the first day it gets cloudy. Let's say, for example, you've had a front's coming in, and it was partly cloudy or sunny all week, then you get this front moving in, you get some clouds coming in with that. That is when you want to be out there. But if you happen to get a situation where you have like a stationary front moves in and it stays cloudy for 4 or 5 days, maybe it rains for 2 or 3 days and it's cloudy for a week, that will actually turn bass off in any water visibility, even if it's clear. If it's been cloudy and rainy for 4 or 5 days in a row, don't expect to go to Clearwater Lake, even if that water temperature is in the 50s and 60s, and just whack them like you would if it was the first day of a cloudy day. What they do is, if it's been cloudy for an extended period of time, is those fish tend to want to hunker down to the bottom. So if you are fishing during a period where you have extended clouds or rain, go to your bottom lures, Carolina rigs, again, jigs, Ned rigs, shaky heads, that type of stuff. For whatever reason, it just sort of makes them a little bit less aggressive after that clouds have stayed for day after day after day. I don't really understand why that is, but it's just the reality that I've seen in my own fishing. Overall, I prefer fishing on a cloudy day. It's like, in general, fish are just more active on a cloudy day. I've never really seen a cloudy day that is a bad day to go fishing, unless it's like, again, in the winter time and it's been cloudy for a week, something like that. But overall, fish are going to be a little bit more aggressive. They're more prone to make mistakes during a cloudy day. That's why you can catch them on those bigger power fishing lures, because they don't have the same visibility that they normally do. And another thing, it's like, if you guys have ever fished at night before, night is the ultimate low light condition, and bass fishing is always better at night. I mean, bass fishing anywhere around my part of the country here, if you go out in the daytime and say you catch 5 bass all day long, you can go out on the same lake at night and probably catch 20, just because they make mistakes. They can't see as good. They have to rely on vibration and water displacement, and that causes them not to be quite as efficient as a predator. So anyway, guys, just a few wide ranging thoughts on fishing on a cloudy day. Hope it helps out a little bit, and we'll talk later.